My name is Judith Lipnick. I was born in Washington, D.C. a long time ago. I grew up in a very supportive family. My dad's attitude was, you better get yourself educated, you're going to need to get a job someday. I was just lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. I had lots of opportunities and I was able to take advantage of them. I went to college and my dad was a dentist. He decided I needed a job. This is at the end of my freshman year of college. He had a patient who was the director of a laboratory at the Army Materiel Command. And it was a little secure laboratory in the middle of the Bureau of Standards. I think he probably put a drill to the man's nose and said, my daughter needs a job. But I was the first female technical student trainee that they ever hired. I was involved with making safety and arming devices, batteries, worked on a weather balloon actually, back in 1957. It was an unusual opportunity. I got to work with people that were just brilliant. I could have been a teacher, I could have been a nurse, I could have been an executive assistant. Women did go into publishing then, but that was not what I wanted to do.
She is my role model. She is really a Renaissance woman. I met Judy and her husband when they first came here to look for homes, and I sold them their first home. I found them very fascinating, both of them, both their personal life as well as what they did in their professional life.
He was very good to me because I was very independent, and I have 2 lovely children and 6 perfect grandchildren. I had my children, and I didn't work for about 6 years, 7 years. Once you've earned your own money, it gives you a kind of independence, so you want to continue to do it. I had a friend who had the same intentions. We had a lot of business. First, we were in the catering business, but we really couldn't cook. Then we made quilts. That didn't last very long. But in the end, we ended up with a wallpapering business. Truly, women hanging wallpaper. We hired women who would normally be substitute teaching. Everybody wanted to work while their children were in school. And we would pay $35 a day and teach them how to hang wallpaper. And it was a lot of fun, but my husband had a heart attack and I thought I better get in gear. And so I went back to school, got a master's degree. By a fluke, ended up working for HBO. My husband went to Columbia in New York with a bunch of people that ended up out in Hollywood. One of them ended up running Universal Studios. He lost a fairly large lawsuit to companies called HBO and Showtime. The Wall Street Journal, I know you've seen them, they run the panel ads on Tuesdays, or they used to, and there was an ad from HBO that said they were looking for people. I got out my resume, I sort of changed it a little bit, put a 28-cent stamp on it, walked one whole block down to the post office, dropped it in the box, and they called me. And that's how I came to work for HBO.
When she started explaining that she, used to own a wall-hanging company with her girlfriend, and then she said, and I was 22 years as a senior vice president in sales for HBO, I just was wow. I mean, talk about multiple types of careers.
The initial accounts were small cable systems. The idea was that we were still distributing Cinemax, and I would go out and talk them into launching Cinemax or USA Network, or the Comedy Channel. It was just an exciting time. I mean, when you work for the company, which is leading the industry, I mean, you are really hot stuff. I'd come out of a world where I was the only woman. I really fought for what I wanted. HBO was a company that promoted women. If you did well enough, the nice thing was that people saw it and you were rewarded. I thought I was somebody and I was worth it. But if you don't ask for it, you're never gonna get it. If I was young and thinking about a career, I'd go bang on a company door like LCS and say, here I am fantastic and you need me. That was the attitude I had. I think all of us want to know that they left their own world in a better place than they found it. So at some point in your life, you have to figure out what your world is and then work toward it. The advice that I would give any young person now, but particularly a woman, is to know what your objective is and not be afraid to go after it. You know, coming on this board here at the Glenview, I have a business background. I know how I think things should be.
She has the enthusiasm, the energy, the desire to make the Glenview better. And she works phenomenally with people, whether it's residents or whether it's the staff or whether it's management. But she asks those important questions like a good CEO, like a good president of the board should.
The people who work here, I mean, and this is LCS's management, only want you to be happy. This is just a lovely, lovely, lovely place to live. 85 isn't old anymore, I don't think. And as long as I'm healthy, you know, I plan to stay right here.